Hello, good evening and welcome to the midweek edition of Business Live. Coming up, multidimensional poverty in Ghana drops marginally to 21.9% for the third quarter of last year, according to new data from the Ghana Statistical Service.
Multidimensional poverty is declining. We see this from the data. The multidimensional poverty incidence reduced from 23.9% in quarter one to 21.9% in quarter three.
We will be exploring how government's livelihood empowerment against poverty, that's the LEAF program, has played a role in reducing poverty in the country. Also in this bulletin, government on course to make Ghana an automotive and a pharmaceutical hub for West Africa.
Draft policies for textiles and garments, for pharmaceutical manufacturing, for special economic zones, for automotive component manufacturing, and we are also reviewing the Ghana automotive development policy to include EVs, 2- and 3-wheelers.
And today on the Joy Business Van, medical expertise meets ethical beauty. We are at Natureholics, where Dr. Alberta Misa is transforming lives through skincare, advocacy, and education. Thanks so much for your time. I am Pius Kojobaka. And looking at our stories, multidimensional poverty in Ghana has declined marginally from the first quarter of last year from 24.6% to 23.9% in the third quarter of 2025. That's according to the latest Multidimensional Poverty Index report released by the Ghana Statistical Service. Now, the development should mean that overall assessment of poverty in the country has declined due to improved access to basic services. More in this report.
The reports indicate that the decline reflects improving access to basic services and living conditions for many households. Within a single quarter, more than 360,000 people exited multidimensional poverty between the second and the third quarters of 2025. Overall, about 950,000 persons moved out of poverty between the third quarter of 2024 and the third quarter of 2025.
Multidimensional poverty is declining. We see this from the data. The multi-dimensional poverty incidence reduced from 23.9% in quarter one to 21.9% in quarter three. We've also seen that over 360,000 people actually exited poverty between quarter two and quarter three of 2025. And if you look at it, if you're looking at it from an annual perspective, we've seen that about 950,000 persons exited poverty between 2024 quarter three and 2025 quarter three.
Despite the progress, regional inequality remains pronounced. The Northeast and the Savannah regions continue to record poverty incidence above 50%, while Greater Accra and the Western region remain below 20%, highlighting persistent geographic disparities.
Second, regional inequality remains. We've seen that, for example, Northeast and the Savannah regions continue to record high poverty incidence, in fact, above 50%, when the national average is just 21.9%. But at the same time, we have regions like Greater Accra and Western that are staying below 20%. So that shows the stark inequality we have in poverty. Third, there's a big rural-urban gap. The gap is about 18 percentage points. Rural poverty is about 31.9% compared to urban poverty, that's about 14.2%. Fourth, two dimensions impact poverty the most, and these dimensions are health and living conditions. Health contribution to poverty is about 41%, whilst living conditions contribution to poverty is about 34%.
The rural-urban gap also remains wide, with poverty incidence in rural areas estimated at 31.9% compared to 14.2% in urban areas, representing an 18 percentage point difference.
Let's have a broader conversation on the back of this revelation. Joining us via Zoom is Dr. Edu Sarkodie, an economist. Thank you so much, sir, for making time to join us here on Business Live. And first off, how does the decline in poverty vary across different regions, particularly in the northern regions where poverty remains high?
Well, as we have seen from the report, first of all, multidimensional poverty gives us another angle of assessing poverty, which is different from what the income poverty will give us. So multidimensional poverty goes a step further to look at the things that we look at in terms of development. So i.e. your living conditions, your toilets, the assets you use, television, cooking, fuel, the housing materials. Then you come to education, you're talking about school lag, years of schooling and the rest. Then you come to health, you're talking about health insurance, nutrition, and so on and so forth. So this gives us a different dimension of poverty other than the income poverty. But it's worrying to see that whilst the national average is declining, some of the northern part of the country are still recording very high MPI or multidimensional poverty index or incidence, very high. And these regions have been deprived, obviously from the health, nutrition, and the living conditions. There are three dimensions that we look at: health, represented by health insurance and nutrition and others, and then also education, represented by school lag and the rest, and then also living conditions. You will check from the statistics or the analysis that education seems to be okay. So in other words, not many Ghanaians are deprived of the indicators used for education, but many of the poverty incidence is coming from nutrition and then health insurance and also living conditions. So in the northern part of the country, we've seen that normally they are deprived of better living conditions, which are used in the calculation of the MPI. So examples of these are the housing materials, the cooking fuel you use, the room size, number of people who sleep in the room, the assets you use, how you dispose your waste, etc., etc. And then nutrition and also health insurance. Health insurance seems to be on top of all the issues because it contributes more to poverty. So if you have not registered with any health insurance, then you are poor and the household is poor. And therefore, these are the dynamics that have played out to tell us why the northern part of the country are more deprived than the southern part, because we are using so many indicators other than income alone, and the northern part are deprived of these indicators that are used. Remember that there are about 12, there are three dimensions, but there are 12 indicators. And so one is poor when the person is deprived at least one third of the 12 indicators, about 4 of the 12 indicators, so 4 or more. If you are deprived 4 or more of the 12 indicators, then the household is poor. And this is a household survey. And that's how we see all these dynamics playing out.
All right. So for you, what do you think the role when it comes to government initiatives have been, such as the LEAP program, for example, played in reducing poverty in the country?
Yeah, I mean, programs like Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty, LEAP, and then also school feeding program. And today we have free SHS that feeds our borders. Because, the underlying objective of all the three that I've mentioned is to improve nutrition. And nutrition is one of the indicators. In fact, the statistician mentioned that health, nutrition contributes about how much? 41% of the poverty. So, but it has helped. The LEAP school feeding program, free SHS are helping. I'm sure without these programs, the incidence would have been higher than we see now. So, but there's more room for improvement, as someone would say. So, there's the need to make the LEAP get to the people who need it, right? And don't play politics with it. Also, the free SHS, I think many students and their parents have complained about the nutritional quality of the food. I think we have to improve on that. The school feeding program too, we have to improve on the quality of the food we give them. And generally speaking, nutritional status and also health insurance, because like I said, health insurance it stands out as the most single deprivation of many Ghanaians. So I think it's working all right. Today, about close to 60% of Ghanaians have registered, but still, 40% still are behind, and we have to get them registered.
Dr. Duwo-Sakode, what really are the implications of a decline in poverty of Ghana's development trajectory while achieving the sustainable development goals largely?
Yeah, it shows that we are on track to achieving some of these sustainable development goals of having poverty, reducing hunger, etc., etc. So Ghana has done well. We have put in place a number of social intervention programs, and these have helped us get to where we are. In the year 2000, after HIPIC, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, most of the social intervention programs that we have now, the free SHS, or not free SHS of 2017, but capitation grants, school feeding program, the LEAP, health insurance, were all introduced around that time. I think so. Over 20 years now, as a country, we've done well to improve on the safety net. So it is not surprising at all to see this. And going forward, I think we can do more. And even if you read the current IMF program that we have with them, they have indicated that first they commended the government for the safety net, and they have indicated that the government must increase investments into these things. So that will help us. The whole world now, we have changed from the top-bottom approach of development to the bottom-up, approach to development. In other words, use these social intervention programs to empower those at the base, those at the bottom, so that they will all contribute to the growth process. And we call it inclusive growth. So if you contribute, then you chop. If you don't contribute, you don't chop. SDNC, no contribution, no chop.
All right.
So these social intervention programs are helping us get them to contribute to the growth process.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Duwo-Sakode, for your time here on Business Live. This is still Business Live. We have more for you after this break. Hello again, welcome back to Business Life, and we've got to tell you this breaking story coming through thick and fast. Star Oil has suspended its membership of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies with immediate effect and for an indefinite period. Joining me in studio is my colleague Winston Taki to tell us more. Winston, tell us more about this developing story.
So as before we came online, we got information that this is quite interesting, considering the fact that a meeting is ongoing to decide whether to scrap the floor price, which has become a key conversation in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. And the fact that Star Oil has to say was that this has consistently had a reputational risk on them as a company, because they are advocating that it does not reflect the real impact in terms of translating the real price to consumers, and scrapping it off will necessarily enhance the market. And they advocate that the BDCs have also been pushing for the same thing, and they think that it is high time the consumer benefit from change in prices in real time.
But the good thing is that we got to know that COMAC will be having an immediate meeting to decide on this very policy. So why now? Why would Star Oil pull out? Why wouldn't they wait really for the outcome of the meeting before they come out with this? Do we know?
Let's not forget, Star Oil is one of the biggest OMCs in the market, and they have been quite vociferous about meeting consumer demand. And they believe that looking at the conditions now, the market is thrived for them to ensure that customers or consumers meet the requisite pricing in the market. And we've seen how prices have dropped in the last couple of weeks. And with that being said, we've seen how consumers have also been vociferous, not just on social media, but across various markets at the moment. And they believe that doing this will, in the long run, help their advocacy in ensuring that their market segment is protected.
And then we have with a letter on your screens there from Star Oil to Comac. And they say, I write to formally inform the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, that's Comac of Star Oil Limited's decision to suspend its membership of the chamber with immediate effect and for an immediate period, indefinite period, I should say. The decision has not been taken lightly. Star Oil has over the years been a committed and responsible member of Comac and is currently the largest financial contributor to Comac. That's an interesting revelation there, Winston. Now, they go on to say, we have consistently supported the chamber's activities in the belief that Comac exists to fairly represent the collective interests of its members while allowing space for diverse, well-intentioned views on matters of policy and regulation. However, recent developments have compelled us to reassess the value of our continued membership. In particular, Star Oil is deeply concerned that despite our significant contribution to the chamber, our perspectives, especially on critical industry issues, are neither adequately acknowledged nor fairly communicated. And this is the statement as we have it on our screens. And of course, it's on myjoyonline.com from
basically from Star Oil, and it tells you indeed that this particular case has to do with their proposition to call for the scrap. Unfortunately, they said the Comac has not necessarily communicated their side of the whole debate request, and they believe that considering that it will have a reputational damage on them as a company.
Interesting development, and we shall follow up on that and bring our viewers up to speed on that in our subsequent bulletins. But we've got to touch on the Joy Business Van right about now. Being a woman in a business and a medical professional comes with its challenges, but for the founder of Natureholics, Dr. Alberta Emisa, seeing lives transformed through skincare, advocacy and education is what keeps her going every day. More on today's Joy Business Van.
I always see people who have, damaged their skin with hydroquinone, steroids, and all the other stuff. And it's actually painful to see.
For Dr. Alberta Emisa, that pain became purpose, and that purpose became Natureholics. More than skincare, but a movement redefining beauty through impact, responsibility, and vision. Through her anti-bleaching campaign, Alberta is challenging harmful beauty standards and promoting self-acceptance, already reaching hundreds with education, advocacy, and safer skincare choices that are changing lives and mindsets.
Some people use products and they feel like, oh, this one is making my color nice, but they don't know that those products have steroids in it. So most of the time it's enlightening for them to know that, oh, okay, this thing I'm using, I'm not supposed to use it for a long period of time. So when we go there, we are telling them that no, we are not supposed to do that, or this is the effect it will have in a few years' time. Then they are enlightened and then they stop.
So how can the beauty industry do better in promoting self-love and acceptance of all skin tones?
I think the bigger brands can get more involved in some of these anti-bleaching campaigns. They have the resources, they have the funds to be able to even make it bigger, be on TV, be on the radio, educating them to love their melanin-rich skin and to be proud of the skin that they are in. I think they have a louder voice. So if they can also be involved in the anti-bleaching campaign one way or the other, social media, TV, radio, basically, that would help. That would help very much.
Sustainability isn't an afterthought at Natureholics. It's foundational. From reducing plastic use to adopting glass packaging and responsibly sourced ingredients, every decision considers the planet.
Up until last year, everything was made with glass. We were not doing plastics at all, and we now got complaints about the cleansers breaking in the bathroom and people requesting that we change it into plastics. So we sat down and we decided that if we are going to be using plastics, then there has to be a way of recycling the plastics. So So what we did was we partnered with Caliber Ghana. So what we do is you buy the products, you keep your plastics, and then you can, return them when you are done using them. Okay, so that we can also give it to them and they can recycle it into whatever. That was one part of the initiative. One other thing that we did was to introduce refill packs. So when you use the cleanser and it's done, you don't have to necessarily discard the plastic bottle. You just buy a refill pack that's made with paper. So you pour and then you reuse. So you are not just using the plastic one time and then ditching it. You use, reuse, and then when you are done or tired of it, you just bring it back and then we collect them and then send them for them to be recycled.
Balancing the demands of medicine and entrepreneurship hasn't been easy. 3
years ago, I tried to quit medicine entirely because I was in mainstream medicine and it was quite frustrating for me. And so I decided that I wanted to quit. But African parents, we can't send you to medical school and then you come back and come and say you want to make soap for a living. So that was a no-no from them and my husband as well. The compromise was for me to find something that, I love and then merge it with what I currently do. So I resigned from mainstream medicine and decided to go into aesthetic medicine.
Alberta does not regret the move because she's now doing something she really loves. In the next 5 years, the founder of Natureholics hopes to make significant inroads into the international market, positioning the brand as a global name in ethical, science-backed skincare.
So I always say I would love to see Natureholics on Sephora shelves. Yeah, I would like to be able to move outside of Ghana to other African countries and then from there see to move onto other continents besides Africa. So I want to go global with Natureholics. So help me God. So I want Natureholics to be the brand that, changed the whole idea of bleaching to look beautiful. Okay, and also changing the face of skincare. You don't need to import it because it's being made right here and we have the right knowledge and then the right resources to create that product so that it is international standard. We can also make products that elevate the whole skincare outlook here in Ghana.
Through her brand and advocacy, Dr. Alberta Emisa hopes to leave a lasting legacy, proving that protecting our skin, uplifting communities, and caring for the planet can go hand in hand.
Now, quickly before we go, Ghana is set to review its automotive policy to include electric vehicle manufacturing and the establishment of local component factories. Trade and Industry Minister Elizabeth Ofosujare also revealed a broader plan to turn Ghana into a pharmaceutical hub, creating jobs for the country's growing youth population.
I'm excited to tell you that we have draft policies for textiles and garments, for pharmaceutical manufacturing, for special economic zones, for automotive component manufacturing, and we're also reviewing the Ghana automotive development policy to include EVs, 2- and 3-wheelers, so like bicycles and tricycles. This is because the Ghana automotive development policy does not include EVs, and we know that EVs is the new child on the block, and so we need a policy to govern it. It is good, environmentally friendly, and it is cost effective. So we need a policy on that one to drive the EV zone. Automotive component manufacturing, there is none in West Africa, and so.
Thanks so much for being part of Business Life for today. I am Pius Kojo Baka.